Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revival of America podcast. This is Jenny. I'm the owner and the host of the Revival of America. Today we have Dallas in the house, everybody, from PPN, Everything RV News. So for those of you that have a question for Dallas here on Telegram, raise your hand, and at some point I will unmute your mic, and you can ask Dallas your question. Or if you cannot speak, please write your comment, your question underneath the comment area, underneath his picture on the wall. And for those of you on Rumble, hello, Rumble. If you guys have a question for Dallas, since we don't have the ability to unmute your mics over here, write your question in the comment box, and I will read those to Dallas as well throughout this podcast. Also, to everybody, please be careful who you listen to, who you follow, what you put in your mind, everybody. It is happening in real time. We are seeing these people fall by the waysides, and we're actually starting to see how Donald Trump uses these people, whether for good or bad, puts them in the limelight, and they expose themselves, right? I say it all the time. The more these people talk, the more these people expose themselves. So be careful, everybody, because we are seeing it happen on a daily basis. And unfortunately, but we knew this was going to happen. Some of these people are ones that maybe many of you or I have followed and have posted things from, and to share with our audiences, or you've shared with friends and family. But now you're seeing a different side of them. A Trumpster now turning on Trump, or never was a Trumpster, and now turning on him again. So just be careful, everybody. You got to be careful for those people, because they're really trying to continue this divide and even put more of a divide into the MAGA, the supporters of Donald Trump. So please, guys, be careful. Stick and stay with the one to three to people that you feel have not led you wrong through the journey here of yours. They're more than likely going to get you through the hump. I used to say 3 to 5. Now I say tighten it even further down, 1 to 3. And if you're just that confused, follow Donald Trump, first and foremost, God above, because they are both. This is God's plan, everybody. It's not Donald Trump's plan, but I do believe God is using him as a vessel to get his message through to everybody, the world, right? So follow God above, and then of course Donald Trump, because he is telling us without directly telling us, because he's got to be a little bit cryptic and still coded, because if he tells us, then he tells the enemy, and he's always said he'll never give us his next move. So hang tight, everybody. It's a beautiful sight to see. I look at it with different lenses than many people. Well, a lot of those doom and gloomers out there. I see the positives, and there's so many positives going on, more than there are negatives. So hang on to those, guys, because there really is more positive than negative happening. And something for all of you that are asking me what to look for when you're trying to find somebody to follow or know who to follow, because I don't necessarily call them out by name, because I think they do a great job at doing that themselves, and there's no need for me to do it, because they do it themselves. The more they speak, the more they expose themselves. But what you can look for, I always say, is consistency in their message, that they have never wavered, i.e. Donald Trump. He has never wavered on his message. He has said the same thing for years, for decades, and he's still saying the same thing. So consistency. So for me, I'm going to use me as an example. My guests, their consistency, the consistency of my guests and what they say, what I am saying, and how I'm consistent with my guest, as you can see. So consistency in life is key, as it is in your journey here, and what you're looking for and who to follow. You don't want to do the floppers. Oh, I was a supporter of Trump one time, now I'm no longer. Oh, I supported Flynn, now no longer. Oh, I supported 107, now no longer. Or so on and so forth. You get the drift. Those flip-floppers that go to the next best thing just to make those individuals feel relevant, right? And then those out there saying they never voted. First of all, and I'm gonna say, I said on my last podcast, if you've never voted and you don't vote, then you need to shut the fuck up, because you have nothing to say about what is happening. You just can't complain on that, right? So, and I said it, and I mean it, because I hear a lot of people out there say, when they're asked, well, did you vote? Do you vote? No, never voted. Or yeah, I voted so many years ago. Or no, I didn't vote for Donald Trump. Then you can't say anything. You can't sit and bitch and complain if you have not voted, or you never vote at all. So those are the other ones. And then the other ones that really stand out are the ones that the ones that are bailing on Trump. Once a Trump supporter, no longer a Trump supporter. Red flag, guys. You need to run as far away from these people as possible. And you're seeing it in the truther movement. You're seeing a lot of these people that have been in this truther movement for quite some time. And like I said, we followed him. Once a Trump supporter, but now I'm seeing a lot of them go on the left side. So be careful, guys, because I'm telling you, it's called a war for the mind for a reason, right? So be careful, everybody, what you're listening to and putting in your mind. Also, too, we are being listened to in over 100 countries. So if you come into the podcast late or you want to send the replay to a friend or a family member that needs some help and some guidance, feel free to go follow the podcast host or my social medias. They are iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, PocketCast, Podbean, Riverside, Amazon Music. Social medias are Jenny Dreed Facebook, at Jenny_Dreed X, at JG Reed Rumble, at JG Reed True Social, at JG Reed Instagram, the Revival of America right here on Telegram, and the Revival of America over on YouTube. And guys, if you have a message for me and you want to email me a question or you want to get in touch with John Baxter and his staff, go see him at his facility, Field McConnell, please email me, whatever it may be. If you want to send me an email, send it to me at the revival of America at yahoo.com. Trying to centralize everything, guys, because I am that busy and I'm just getting scattered, in too many places. So go to the revival of America at yahoo.com and send me your email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, because as you guys know, I have a day gig, so this comes secondary to my day gig, my business that I run here. So also, if you have a story or a journey, everybody, to tell, and you want to have your voice heard, haven't known where to put your voice on a platform, send your submissions to TROA submissions at yahoo.com. I will read through the submissions. Give me a little synopsis of your story, your journey. Again, if I believe it's real, I will reach out to you via email. And unfortunately, I have to vet these guys because, like I say, these scammers are getting more creative by the day, and they do lie to try to get on a podcast. So if I believe it's legitimate, I'll send you an email, and then we will get your voice, your story heard. Because remember, guys, it's your stories, your truth that's going to help shape this new world that we're coming into. And I was going to say something else, but also, guys, regarding Field McConnell, those of you that are asking me, I have no new news for you. I have not heard anything, so no news is good news. However, once I do get some news about Field McConnell, I absolutely will share it with you. But I'm thinking right now he is just taking this time to heal and go through his rehab, because he was having to do the rehab because he broke 7 ribs. So as soon as I know something, I'll let you know. And I respect that if this is what the family wants, is just to have him focus on himself and whatever it needs to be. We want our Field McConnell to be well and back on the road of good health here, hopefully soon. So again, as I know, I will let you know, but I don't have anything right now, so I can't let you know anything because I just don't know. And then my show with Silk tonight, I want to let you know I did get a message before Dallas' show right here. She's having to cancel tonight because she is spending some time with her husband for her birthday. I'm not sure if her birthday is today or when it is, but man, apparently a lot of April babies. But mine's next week. So guys, my shows next week are going to be probably a little limited because I'm gonna take some time for my birthday week to just enjoy. But so Silk's show will be we reschedule it for the next 2 weeks. She'll be on in 2 weeks from today because she's on every other Wednesday. So with that, guys, Dallas is in the house. In the house. What's up, buddy? He gives us 90 minutes of his time. So please, if you request a mic, be mindful of that. And how are you, my friend? What's up, Dallas? Can you hear us, Dallas, or hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. How you doing?
There we go. I couldn't get my mic to lock out. Good. My phone made me do an update as I
Oh my
as I
gosh.
was trying to start or get on the show. So
It
I'm
has
good.
been
Happy early birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's next Tuesday. It's been crazy. I was on a show with Troy just before you a little bit ago, and I'm streaming through Rumble, so it's live on Rumble too, and all of a sudden my feed just cut out, and I couldn't see my screen. I couldn't see the comments, and they're like, and then it comes back on, can't hear for the last 2 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh. So, and then yes, I was just telling my parents, all these apps like X and all these different apps are asking you, all these new updates like on like every 3 to 4 days. Like, what's going on? It's
Yeah,
crazy.
today at noon, StreamYard and or Rumble just cut Chaz and I off mid sentence. They cut the feed. I've never had that happen before. My internet was fine, his internet were fine. They just all of a sudden he disappeared, and the counter went from red to gray. They turned our whole stream off mid
Okay,
sentence.
so you just say Rumble because you were on at noon and you're 2 hours ahead of me and I was on with Troy around that time, and that's what happened to me is my feed just went. Nobody can hear me.
Yeah, except they stopped the whole thing. Like it just turned it off. So like we streamed through StreamYard to
Yeah.
Rumble, and it turned the whole show off. Like cut it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild. Well, guys, we're doing the best we can with what we got, right, Dallas?
I'm amazed every time this thing works. Every time I can turn on my phone or turn on the computer and you can see or hear me, I'm amazed. So
So,
glad to be
Dallas,
here.
I want to let you know 'cause I love you to death, and some of these comments that come through from people, I have to kind of I have to debunk them and put people back in their place. I did get one on the last show. I think it was in my Rumble comments. Somebody made, and I want you to clear it up because I know this isn't even true. Yes, Dallas loves Donald Trump, but the question was, or no, it was not even a question. It was just, I think, a comment. It was basically, so Dallas doesn't love Donald Trump anymore. And I'm like, no, but this just goes to show you, everybody, how people can take certain words from people and run with it and just assume XYZ with it, right? So that's why I always say to people in my audience or friends of mine, or if I'm in other chats, I actually said it this morning. You got to be careful what you say, not necessarily you, Dallas, because you explained it very well. But when people like take things from people and they go translate it to somebody else,
Hmm.
it's that word salad, right? It gets lost in translation. So why don't you let everybody know? I just thought that was funny because I was like, no, he still loves Donald Trump for sure.
Yeah, no, it's I've caught a lot of flack over the last couple months, purely because I'm just asking questions. I kind of had not an epiphany, but I had kind of a clearing of a thought, right? Like I voted for Trump in 2016. I voted for Trump in 2020. I voted for Trump in 2024. Um, and I have supported him from the get go. I think he made some tactical missteps in his first administration where he picked the wrong people, some of the wrong people, maybe a lot, the wrong people to be around. He listened to the wrong people. Um, I have had some serious questions in this last year of some of the decisions of the people around him. Um, I want, and this is what I guess maybe this is what I want to focus on or what I want to emphasize. I want Trump to be the president that I wanted and we all want him to be and that I voted for. And for me, that is transparency, that's accountability, and that's draining the swamp. I want him to be that president. Um, I am a little bit leery of some of the people that he's surrounded himself with. Susie Wiles being one of them. She was Netanyahu's campaign manager, and now she's his chief of staff. I find that a very interesting choice, and a little bit of a worrisome choice, to be honest with you. But um, I want him to be the president that I voted for, and I'm just things seem to be kind of in the background, and I bet you're catching this a lot on your other shows. Um, it seems to be in the background that things are now starting to kind of catch up to themselves in a positive way, and I very much that's what I pray for. I pray every night I pray every day for Donald Trump. I pray for his family. I pray for his children. Um, but I also pray for accountability, and I pray for the Epstein files to be released, and for the perpetrators of horrible, horrible crimes against humanity and crimes against children to be held accountable and to be exposed. And it seems to me, specifically in the last week or two, that things are starting to kind of come around. We're starting to see a lot of people resigning and retiring and stepping down and being removed from corporate and from the government. My thing is, them retiring is not good. That's not good enough for me. And maybe, maybe that's a me problem. But um, Eric Swalwell, right? The dude doesn't get to retire and keep his government benefits and his pension and his insurance for the rest of his life. Like, that's not acceptable to me. Al, is it Al Green? I think, from Texas. There was like three more today. The CEO of Apple stepping down, like resigning. But I also think that a lot of that is a precursor to them being exposed, Gavin Newsom and things like that. So, um, have I openly questioned Trump and his administration? Not so much Trump necessarily, but his administration. Yes. Does that mean that I hate him and that I'm not a supporter? No. I want him to be the president that I voted for and that I voted for three times, right? Um, but I also think that we would be remiss if we just blindly follow anything right now and we don't ask questions. I think we should constantly be asking questions and asking and pushing for um, accountability and disclosure, because there's still a lot of really dark people out there, and we need to continue to push. And what's interesting is that Trump responds, like when people in a mass ask questions or kind of hold his feet to the fire, he typically responds via truth or X or something like that. And so I still support Trump. I voted for him. He's my president. Um, and I want him to be the president that I voted for. And I think, Jazz and I have been saying for the last 2 weeks specifically, there is a shift happening right now. Like there was a big shift in 2020. And there's another shift happening right now where people are waking up in droves. I mean, literally in the hundreds of thousands around the world. My social media feeds are inundated with people that I would probably put on the left in their core values a year ago. Like, they are coming out and they're starting to ask the same questions we're asking, and they're starting to not swallow the narrative of mainstream media and stuff like that. And spiritually, there's a whole lot of um, there's a whole lot of unification. I think that may be the best word, spiritually, and I even mean like kind of the new age stuff of the the tarot card readers and the astrologists and all those people that are like, there's a shift happening. They're starting to be drawn towards um, faith and belief in a bigger power and a higher power. And to me, that's the Holy Spirit. That's God moving. Um, you might think or call it something else, but it seems to me there's a huge shift happening right now where people are waking up and they're unplugging, or at least recognizing the matrix, that we've all been trapped in. So um, I hope that does that answer the question, or does that kind of give you or
Yeah.
the listeners more understanding? Did
Yeah,
I do
no,
it?
no, no. So that's good. So this could be a prime example right here. So this is Dallas explaining to you guys how he has felt, and he's questioned certain things, and I agree. Everybody question everything. Don't believe me or don't believe Dallas because we said it. Do your own research, find out. But this is going to show you where, you know this is what Donald Trump does. And do I believe that there are some nefarious people that have been in his cabinets? Absolutely. Do I believe that we're seeing some in there now? Yeah. And you know what? This is what Trump does. He exposes them, right? So he puts them in the limelight. They do their thing. You know, they're there for such a time as this, right? So Pam Bondi, she did her thing. Dan Bongino did her thing. And you know, now we've got you know, he brings these people to the forefront, in my opinion, and what a lot of my research and what and many people I've talked to, and then he puts them out for in front of us. So guess what? What do we start doing? We start going to research, and then we find this about Susie Wiles, then we find this about Pam Bondi, or whomever it may be, right? Whatever. And I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, just from my own research. But this is what he does, you guys. I mean, but then it just goes to show you how intertwined this whole deep state thing is, right? It's evil. You've got your not only your politicians, you got Hollywood, you've got your CEOs of corporations, you've got schools. I mean, this just shows you how intertwined it is. So he is gutting this swamp, you guys, and however you choose to look at it, that's fine. But at the end of the day, I do truly believe, and like Dallas says, Trump responds. They do listen to us, right? I do believe that he is using people for such a time as this. He's making deals. Either you help me take these people down and leave a legacy, or you don't, and the world will know what you did, and you will not have a legacy, and we'll just take you out now. I do believe a lot of these people, when he says central casting, that's a reason. And I'm not the Q person. I know I believe in Q. I don't go decode it. But if you follow Q and if that movement, and if you look at these posts that they put out there and all this stuff, and even way back from 4chan, 8chan, it's coming to fruition, guys, and it's basically telling you that he is draining the swamp, and the swamp is as close to him, sitting right next to him in his Oval Office. So I think everybody and we've seen that. We have seen that come to fruition. That I'll use DeSantis as a prime example, right? Like, you know, he's still there, but he's playing a major part when it comes to Florida and what he's doing. So I that's my thought process, and this is what I talk to a lot of people about, and they're right there on board. And if you look at Donald Trump and what he does and the Q movement, it's all coming to fruition, and it points to exactly that. So that's kind of my thought process. But you can see Dallas looks at it a little bit differently than myself, and that's fine. We still can agree to disagree and have a great conversation, or you know, maybe we're agreeing, but just in a different way, right? So that's why I always say, guys, words matter. The word salads are out there, so you got to be careful what you say when you're saying stuff out there, because people take it and they run with it, and they'll twist it to every high heaven they can. So just be careful, everybody. Thank you, Dallas, for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's going on in the RV news world? We talked about XRP with Troy before you. So what's up? Anything good? Anything new?
Um, you know, unfortunately, I have to kind of be like everybody else in that broken record. But you know, I said 2 weeks ago, last time I was on, that you know we were looking for some major movement. We were looking for movement at the very top. Um, I was hoping it was last week. It wasn't. You know, I got another call, and you know, I made a joke, and I probably shouldn't have made the joke, but I was like, if they say that there was a delay and that we're looking to Monday and Tuesday of next week, one more time, I'm gonna lose my mind. And well, guess what? There was a delay, and you know we're looking at this week. But I did get a note last night that said, you know, from my best source, like the top of the top of the top of my information, that things are progressing forward and moving well, and that this should be a positive week. And you know, when I say that, I want to be very clear that what I'm looking for first, before anything else, is some legitimate liquidity and cash being accessible at the very, very, very top. That's the sovereign, you know, entities, the governments, the militaries, the Chinese, the Chinese elder families, to where they actually have access to the money, because the money has been in the accounts for quite some time, off and on, and they've tried to release it, and then somebody does something nefarious, and they have to stop the whole thing and kind of retool and figure out where the hole was, and how that person was able to do whatever they did. But the note I got last night or yesterday sometime was things are progressing forward nicely, and they're looking for a positive week. So I'm hoping that by the end of this week, um, we'll be able to verify that the sovereigns got paid, that the elders got paid, and the governments got paid, which is the beginning of the liquidity process. And then it will move down from there. I'm still a little bit iffy on how the whole global GCR, the global currency reset, and the whole RV is going to roll out, because I get more and more information that the powers that be don't really want us to take part in this. They don't want the average Joe Schmo general public walking away with this thing with lots and lots of money, because that would overthrow even the new setting, right, of this new ruling, entity, and the new government, and the new, that kind of stuff. And to be honest with you, within the groups that I have communication with, there are still people that are still mentally going to do some really dumb things with this money, and it's a little bit disheartening. But I get it, which is the whole reason that I got into this movement in the very, very first place. Was I started learning about all this stuff. I started learning about the currencies, and I started learning about, this draining of the swamp and this new government, and I just know through my experience in the financial world that money makes people do really, really silly things. And I mean, I've seen literally whole families destroy themselves over a $10,000 life insurance policy, or a $50,000 or $100,000. But as little as $10,000, I've seen families destroy themselves. And even to this day, in some of these groups that I'm intimately tied to, they want the money so they can go buy a big mansion. They want the money so they can go buy, these. I don't even know what the right word is, but like these material things. And even people within, these groups, maybe even somebody on this call, is they're still missing the point. The money is not so that we can go buy, $20 million mansions and luxury jets and things like that. The money is so we can change the world, and we can be leaders in the humanitarian movement, and put others before ourselves. And yes, if your house, if you don't have a home, then yes, absolutely, you should go buy a home when you get this money. But I've said it every single show I've ever been on, for the most part. If you live in $100,000 house, your next house should not be a $5 million mansion. And that's too big of a jump, right? You're not used to that. You're not accustomed to living in those neighborhoods and being around those people. You're going to stand out. You're gonna have a big target on you, and we just have to be smarter. I mean, it's been really interesting to listen to some of the conversations that I get access to, and some of the really silly things that people, they want letters of authenticity so they can go to the bank and get a loan for a $20 million house. Like, what do you need a 20 what do you need a $20 million house for? Like, that shouldn't be the first purchase. The first purchase, if you need a new car, it shouldn't be a Lamborghini. And again, who am I to tell you how to spend your money? But I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, right? If you need a new car, go buy a Honda Civic, because they run forever. They don't break down. They're safe, and they're reliable. You don't need a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or a 2027, 800 horsepower Corvette. Like, just buy something useful and practical. But I still repeatedly hear stories of people having these really grandiose ideas of just wasting this money, and the government is legitimately concerned with that being a reality. And And I think that there's a little bit of, well, I don't think, I now know there's validity in that concern, because even within these groups of humanitarians and projects, they 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 want to do silly things with the money, out the gate, as opposed to just making sure that they're in good health, that their families are taken care of, that they have supplies, and that they have, the means to take care of themselves first, and their neighbors second, and their communities third, and their state fourth, and so on and so forth. So, um, very long answer to a simple question, but I'm hearing very positive things. I'm hoping that by the end of this week, we have some legitimate, verifiable news of liquidity and the beginning of the process. How quickly it moves downhill from there, I honestly have no idea. I'm hearing more and more July 4th, the 250th anniversary, like June and July being really pivotal months in the RV and the tariff dividends and the Doge checks and all that, kind of being June, July. But I don't know that to be a fact. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. But I am looking for liquidity at the top level, because that tells me that the ball has started, the ball is started to roll downhill. And so far this week, I'm hearing nothing but positive things.
All right. Well, Dallas, I'm in the background with my cheerleading pom poms cheering you on. And then the next time you come on, you're gonna have some great news for us. Not that this is bad news, guys, but I mean it's better than the no answer, right? It's not happening. So, and that's not what he's saying. So, I appreciate your transparency with us all and honesty. Thank you,
Well,
Dallas.
and I again, I feel like the bad guy over the last couple months, but I mean, I listened to a call last night, and again, I heard, notifications Wednesday or Thursday, and I'm just telling you that that's not the timing. It has taken well over a year just to get to the liquidity at the highest level. There's, in my mind, there's no way on earth that it goes from liquidity to the highest level to liquidity to us at tier 4B, if you want to reference it that way, within hours or days. Like, it just, knowing what I've learned over the last year of how slow and how long this process has been, it really frustrates me, because I was in that camp where I was like, oh my gosh, okay, cool, it's going to be this week, um, until we get that positive money has moved and become liquid at the highest level. There is nothing after that. There's nothing after that until that happens. And I'm very optimistic that this might be the week that we see that. And then we just got to work together and support each other and lift each other up one more week. And, I will tell you that God is faithful. I'll share a little bit of a praise real quick. I think I talked about my dog having surgery the last time we were on.
Yeah. How do you do?
Great. It was a little bit more invasive than originally we thought, but he's doing great. But this whole process over the last 6 weeks, I mean, it's cost me and my family thousands of dollars that we did not have to start with, right? And Monday, I was driving to Bible study, because every Monday night I lead a men's Bible study and stuff with my ministry, Ephesians Pro Wrestling. And to be frank, I was in a little bit of a dark place, because my wife handles our finances, and why that is because she's really anal retentive. And she has everything on a calendar, and she has spreadsheets, and she has dates and times, and I don't function that way. I'm like, okay, cool, we got to pay a bill. But um I I was I had no answers for her, right? And um I was pretty frustrated, and when I say dark place, I don't mean anything super weird or anything like that. I just didn't know where to go. I didn't know what the answer was. I get home, there's a letter from my father, and inside there was a check, and it's not a huge check, but oh my gosh, it was such an answer to prayer. And so we have, another week of viability, and I don't know what's going to happen next week, but God has been faithful every single time, just a little bits here, a little bits there. And it was such a huge answer to the prayer. And I called my dad on Tuesday, and and I just said, I don't, I know why you sent it, but I want you to know that that was an answer to prayer, and that's where God has been with me. And I listened to a message last week, and it just said, that basically the person was just referencing, there's a transition, a transformation coming, and it feels dark, but there's one more lesson that God has for you to learn before the next, before the blessing. And it wasn't even really in reference to the RV or anything like that, which is why it touched me so much, because I literally said the exact same words to my wife the day before I heard that message. And I said, I don't know how this is going to work, but I just know it's going to work. And we're this thing has got to break one way or the other. And then I hear that message, I'm like, oh my gosh, right? For me, that's what I call affirmation. So I just want to encourage everybody, as much as maybe I'm not saying the positive fluff that everybody else is saying. I'm just, again, I try to be as honest and forthright as I can be, because I lived in that, not fantasy world, but I lived in that hopium world for a very long time. Like, oh, okay, well, I don't have to make really smart financial decisions today because I'm going to be fixed tomorrow, right? We have to be super tight financially right now, so that when the blessing does come, sorry, the kids are getting out. They're all screaming. Um, as we get this financial blessing, we have to be mentally and spiritually ready for this blessing, so that we don't do something silly with this money and put ourselves at risk, or put our projects at risk, or put our families at risk by painting a big target on our back. So again, I apologize for not being quite as uh, optimistic as some, but at the same time, I'm trying to be as pragmatic and realistic as humanly possible. But I am excited, and I am hoping that by the end of this week, by the next time I'm on this call, we have some real viable, provable evidence to say we're going the right direction, because we are.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And we're talking about some success stories, like you're just talking about with your father-in-law. This is kind of off topic, but I know many of you are here every Monday for John Baxter's. We got some great updates on my father today. Dallas, can you mute your mic, sweetie? We're getting feedback. Dallas, thank you. We got some, we received some great information regarding my dad's healing with John Baxter. He is 100% healing with his conditions, and all I have to say, guys, if this is you or somebody else, because he literally, when he went to go see John about 2 years ago, like, and just a bad situation, kind of got the doom and gloom uh information from his doctor, and 2 years, and it's not even 2 years, it'll be 2 years in August, but his numbers and everything are back like on a normal level. He's even doing better in certain areas than he was before. But I'll tell you what, my dad's 80 years old, and they're like, he is doing phenomenal for 80 years old. And still, they don't see the diagnosis that my dad's doctor gave him, the doom and gloom, right? They're still not seeing that in his diagnosis with John, with this AI scan of the nails and the hair. In fact, they wanted to tell my dad his bone marrow was shot. His bone marrow is not even shot. They basically told him it was no longer, it was shot. There was nothing they could do about it. And then they came back and let us know, no, it's well and good, and it's working. So I'm letting you know, God is working, whatever it may be. Dallas's story, my testimonial here with John Baxter and what he is doing down there at his facilities. I'm telling you guys, God, we are seeing God's hand, and these are the things I would love for all of you guys to hang on to, the positive things, because this is where we're coming. Yeah, we're seeing some negative things right now, what it may look like, right? But at the end of the day, things aren't always as they seem. and we've been told a lot that this has already happened. It is just being put out there now for the normies to hopefully finally open their eyeballs and see what could have been if she would have won, right? Field McConnell tells us this all the time. Juan O'Savin tells us this all the time. So depending on where you're looking at and who you talk to, what you want to believe, that's on you. But at the end of the day, I see it. I put all my faith in God above, and I'm so peaceful through my whole journey through this thing. I've been at peace, not scared, nothing, at peace, happy, because I see things with different eyes. I see the positive. I see what's happening. I see what's happening with my father. I see what's happening just in life in general with people. And it's amazing times. It is when they say, "What a time to be alive." We are very lucky, guys. We are lucky to be witnessing this. As many are struggling, I get it, but it's that short-term pinch for that long-term gain, guys. Hang on, because we are closer than we have ever been. And I just want to say, God bless you all, and just keep that faith, because God is real. If you didn't ever believe in Him, He is real, and we not that I've never seen His hand, but I'm seeing it more now than ever in my life in so many different walks of life. So get in close to God, guys, because really at the end of the day, this is God's war, and we know He's already won. So thank you for that story. That was an awesome story, and I had to share my dad's story because I literally just got the information before this show started. So good times, everybody. Good times to be alive. All right, Dallas, let's go into some questions. So everybody here on Telegram, I only saw one hand raised. Now that can't be legit, guys. You guys always have questions for Dallas. So please feel free to raise your hand if you want to ask Dallas a question over here on Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Give me your questions over there in the comment box and I will read them to Dallas. All right, so let's go here. We've got one here on Telegram for you, Dallas. I got a couple on for you on Telegram for you. This one's from Go North to Dakota. Happy Dallas is here today. I hear that the central banks are buying and stocking up on gold. Is this the same central banks that were controlled by the cabal? Perhaps they are under new leadership now. What are your thoughts on that, Dallas?
Uh, yes and yes. The leadership at the top of the banks has been transitioning, for the last several years. Lots and lots of banks have gone belly up. They just haven't been reported on. Some of them have, but the vast majority of them have either been, filed bankruptcy and gone insolvent and been bought out by new owners, new ownership, new leadership. But the banks are buying gold because that's part of Basel 3 and 4 and ISO 222 compliance. They have to have physical assets to back up their deposits because for the last several years, the last decade or so, banks have only been required to keep 2% of your deposit in the bank. So if you deposit $100,000, they're only required to keep $2,000 in the bank to back up your 100, and then they loan out the other 98,000 multiple times and charge ridiculous interest rates, and they're making profit off of our money that they don't have to back up. And so, yes, the banks, in order to stay open and functioning in the new Basel 3, Basel 4 compliance and the ISO 222, they have to have physical assets to back up our deposits at a much higher rate. So that's why I said yes and yes. But yeah,
Well,
banks
I
are
like
buying
that.
gold.
Yes and yes.
Yeah. So
Thank you,
yeah, it's
Dallas.
definitely positive.
Thank you. All right, here's one from Walter. Hi, Dallas. When income tax is abolished, what will happen with the existing tax deferred accounts like 401ks, IRAs, HSAs? Will withdrawals be tax free? Okay, he's got a little misspelled. Will there still be required minimum distributions? Will both federal and state income tax be abolished? Okay, sorry about that. He had a couple of words misspelled in here, but did you catch that? Did you catch all that?
Yeah, I mean, this week we saw Mississippi abolish their federal state income tax, right? So states are doing away with federal or with state income tax once it's done away with federally, because it is unconstitutional. It's been ruled on twice by the Supreme Court in the last 50 years, that income taxes were first and foremost made to be voluntary. We've just all been tricked into signing the W-2 and the I-9, which voluntary, like that's when you sign those, you are volunteering into the tax structure, right? So they've got to undo that whole process, and we've got to be able to educate our employers. And there's so much information coming out now about that. There are websites you can go to. I'd have to look some up, but there's some websites you can go to download the forms and submit the forms. Some of them charge, but I mean, a little bit of a fee to not pay taxes anymore. Long term, definitely worth it, right? But as far as qualified accounts, any form of an IRA, an individual retirement account, 403, 401, 520, 529s are a little bit different, but technically we shouldn't owe taxes on that in any form, because those are all funded through our income. And so, yes, once it's all abolished, then one, there should be no more minimum distributions, and there should be no taxation on the distribution, period, because they were never supposed to be taxed in the first place.
Thank you, Dallas. All right, here's another one from Trail Runner 64. Hi, Dallas. My calculator on my phone with the convert option on it is converting the VES with a nice amount in the US window. Mark Z said on a podcast a couple days ago that we cannot do anything with it yet. What are your thoughts? Can I exchange one note for now and it be double dipping, or is it even possible?
You cannot exchange anything right now. That's not even on the table. As far as double dipping, my understanding of the definition of double dipping is if you cash in a note and then you go buy a bunch more notes to cash in later, that's double dipping. And to my knowledge, that is not going to be allowed, right? Can you cash something in just to get by without buying more currency? That possibly may be. I just don't know how the whole process is going to work because we're not there yet. I know that's not the answer people want, but that's the answer I got.
I mean, hey, it's better than nothing, right? Thank you, Dallas. All right, here's a question for you from Rumble. This is from Crazy Patriot. Hi, Dallas. I saw a new design for the dime and quarter. My son found a new dime the other day. Do you feel this is the beginning of printing new coins and currency? I love the designs. Ooh, that's exciting. Thank you, Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, why did they abolish the penny, right? I think it's because of all the money or all of the copper that is going into the new data centers, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think there's something a little bit nefarious about those, but I definitely think that there's new currencies that have already been printed. My knowledge is we're still going to have physical currencies. So we're going to have dollar bills and we're going to have change, at least in the beginning. So that is encouraging because I think that tells us that we're even that much closer to the next phase of this. So yeah, I think it's positive.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I don't think they can phase out the dollar and the coins just like that, because people have to transition and get used to it, right? We have to be retaught everything, guys. Remember that. We have to be retaught everything. Our world literally has been nothing but a lie. So we're bringing in the truth, right? So we're gonna have to be retaught everything. Our world's gonna be flipped upside down to be flipped upside right. So remember that. Okay, here's another one from Dallas, and then we'll go into the hands over here on Telegram, guys. Dallas, this is from Mick Omi Chowie. And if I said that right, if I didn't say that right, I apologize. But Dallas, I have been buying some Venezuela Boulevard regularly for a while. I bought some this week, and it is significantly cheaper than it has been. Do you know anything about the Venezuela currency?
Well, other than we are, no matter how it happened, we are now partners with Venezuela. So my understanding is that there's paperwork in motion right now to remove the restrictions from Venezuela, which makes that currency now exchangeable. Not yet, right? But once those restrictions are fully removed, it's what we're waiting on for Iraq. I mean, The restrictions, they've done everything to be unrestricted. The problem is there's still restrictions in the system, which is why you can't go to Wells Fargo or Chase or Bank of America and buy or sell Iraqi dinar, because in the system there's still restrictions. But I think it's a very positive sign towards Venezuela. The fact that they are now oil and mineral partners with us. Um, however that came about, but um, I do find it interesting that it's a little bit cheaper. Um, I don't know what the exchange rates are going to be. The other day I heard 2 or 3 cents. But even again, I've talked about 10 cents for a long time. If we reference the Boulevard, 10 cents for how cheap it is, and if you get 10 cents for every Boulevard that you have, I mean that's not 10 cents, right? It's 10 cents times 100 million, which is still more money than we've ever had. I think it's 10 million if I'm doing my head math, but that's a lot of money. Even if it's not 10 million, maybe it's a million, but a million is more than you've ever had in the bank. So I think we just got to be patient, and just when it happens, we're going to know how and when. And like I said, I'm going to do my best to figure out how to communicate the proper information. And if there's an alternative way that maybe we've got to go about this, then I'll share that. But we just have to be patient. But I do think it's a good sign. I think our partnership with Venezuela is positive for what we're talking about. And I have heard that there's paperwork in the system to remove all restrictions, which would free up that currency.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I agree. We are closer than we ever were to it, guys. And 5% of something today from this is better than what we had yesterday, right? So I agree with you. I will know when it happens. All right, everybody, let's go to the hands here on Telegram. Go ahead, Granny USA. Your mic is unmuted.
Hi, Dallas, and happy birthday, Jenny, next week. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Dallas, I received an email that says final notice. Well, first, yeah, final notice. You haven't completed your QFS appointment yet. And it tells me I have to fill out this paper, but then it wants me to buy checks. It
Yeah.
says read full treasury directive. Quantum Ledger Administration. I mean, it says it's from the Secretary of the Treasury. And they want to sell you these checks so you can claim your money. Now, I know it's got to be a scam.
Yes, 100%.
So, I thought, I hope nobody's fallen for this.
Granny, where did you say they were from?
Okay.
QSF?
Yeah, Quantum
Okay.
Financial System, probably redemption center appointment, has been matched to a designated center, but your verification window is closing due to insufficient hardware capacity to archive your assets. That's what it says at the very top.
Yeah.
And
Run, 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 run.
oh yeah, I've been running and I get one every day. And then when you click on things, you go in and then they want, let me see here how much they want for these checks. They show these QFS checks with with the president's signature on them that says Nassar Gassara. And then there's a list of, it's quite, let's see, there's a place here. Let me see. They're like, okay, here. One times QFS redemption check, $299. Then you can get 3 for $799, and it goes on. A 30 you can get for $4,899. I'm telling you, I don't know who's doing it, and it's like it's from the Treasury of the United States.
Yeah,
But
no,
but it's not. It's not. So this is what
No.
I'm talking about. These scams are getting more creative by the day. Everybody, Be careful. This is why I tell you what I say, and I appreciate people like Granny S coming up and sharing things that she's experiencing in the mail or whatever, phone call. Be careful of the links that you click on. Everybody, if you get a link that says it's from somebody and you question it, call that individual that and make sure if it's from them or not before you click on it. Because when you click on it, they're taking you a whole different thing, and then when the next thing it's going, it opens up everything into your cell phone. So you guys, it's wild out there. Please be careful. Granny, thank you for sharing that
Oh,
information.
you're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
This was sent to my email,
Yeah.
just so you know.
Wow.
Unfortunately,
Okay.
some of the agricultural groups out there over the last decade, as this has dragged on, they have sold our emails.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and so just be very mindful. Anybody that's advertising to put you in line for the QFS or sign you up for the QFS or put you at the front of the line for med beds, those are all scams. Every
Yeah.
single one of them, and people are falling for them. And I had a member of my extended family call me and say, "Hey, I did this thing," and I was like, "You did what thing?" And and it came from, she same thing. She got an email from somebody, from a name that we would all recognize, and telling her to sign up for her QFS account, and then they wanted her to move all of her crypto into it, and then they wanted her to move all of her cash into it, and
Wow.
they sent her the 25-word passcode for her crypto wallet. Well, guess what? If they sent you the password, that means they have it. It's not your password, it's theirs. And they're giving you access to put your money in it. And then once you put your money in it, you no longer have access to that money. And so thank you for sharing that. Be
You're
very,
welcome.
very, very mindful. I know, speaking from very personal advice or very personal stance, not to be overly transparent, but Monday afternoon, I told you that I was in kind of a dark place because financially, out of my 4 accounts, I had less than $160 total in my 4 accounts. And I did not know where I was going to go. I didn't know what the answer was. And that mindset makes you susceptible to, oh man, I just maybe I'm just gonna put faith in this. I'm gonna believe that it's true, but it isn't. So thank you very much for sharing that, and block those, delete them, and just steer clear, because there are no QFS accounts right now. Is the QFS working in the background along with the Swift system? Yes, but we don't have access to them yet, because there's no reason for us to. We don't have the new money. We don't have until the United States announces that we are asset backed, that we are gold backed. There is no need for the QFS, because the QFS is just blockchain um, uh, tracking. I mean, that's really what the QFS is. So steer clear of all of those. And I know we all want the med beds, but there's no jump in the line. There's no pay me $500 and I'll put you on the list. It's bullcrap. And unfortunately, there are people that have a very large following that I guarantee most of us have listened to at least some of their stuff over the last couple of years. They're charging for special meditation meetings and QFS meetings, and put you at the front of the line for medbed, stuff. It's all garbage, guys. You got to just steer clear of it, and you just got to. Oh, man, I almost said something that I would balk at. You just have to be patient, and when it's revealed, when it comes out, it will, in my opinion, it will be very, very clear, and there will be those of us that can guide you in the right direction. I put a lot of trust in Mark Z. He's a good dude. I know him personally. We talk, not all the time, but we talk pretty frequently. But I would lean on Mark. I would lean on me. And personally, that's where I would stop. but
Yeah.
but
And
there are some others. But
And in regards to these scams, you know what Dallas is talking about regarding the med beds and stuff. John Baxter came out and he told about one that is actually using his face, his stuff, claiming it's theirs, and talking. You have to pay some kind of registration fee that they're asking. So you guys do not do it. It's a scam. John has come out with receipts. He has addressed it and he's moving forward with it. So be careful, you guys. If you get somebody that reaches out to you, and here's another one that says they're John Baxter will not reach out to you. If you want to get in touch with John Baxter, how you're doing that is you go through me, and then I set you up with John and his staff, because they have so many people going in there with this free AI scan that they're doing with the hair and the nail clippings. They are extremely busy. And so you can contact me at therevivalofamerica at yahoo.com. Then I get you in touch with them. But a lot of people are coming in my feed over on Rumble, and I'm seeing it. I'm getting information from other people too. People saying that is this John Baxter reaching out to me via email? No, he's not reaching out to you via email. He's not reaching out to you via Telegram, anywhere. X, nothing like that. John does not do that. He comes on here every Monday. He talks to you, and he addressed the scam, and he showed the receipts, and that they're I guess these people have scammed a lot of people of a lot of money, guys. So be careful. It is the Wild West out there, guys. And I say it, I know I probably sound like a broken record. I'm sorry, not sorry, but it's because I care about you. I don't want you to be in the crossfires of that and fall for it. And if you guys fall for these scams at this point, when we tell you it's not us, it's people pretending to be us, then that's kind of on you. But please be careful, guys. Okay, where'd Jessica go? Go ahead, Jessica. Your mic's unmuted.
Hi, Jenny and Dallas. I wanted to ask Dallas, are you still planning your business where you're going to have people lined up to help with financial advice and information on trust and things once the RV has come?
yes, I mean every day it changes a little bit as my focus is more and more geared towards my ministry. But yes, I will have a way that I will communicate and guide everybody that sent me an email requesting advice or direction after the RV. I will help everybody that's reached out to me. I will point you in the right direction, and I will make sure that you are guided to the right people.
Okay.
If it's there's still several options on the table. It might be a team that I physically oversee, uh, but yes, short answer, I plan to keep my word because I believe a person is only as good as your word, and I made a promise. And so
Okay,
I'm
because
going
I
to honor
had
that.
sent my email to you last year sometime, and I had a
Yeah.
friend asking about it, and I had given her your email address. So I was
Yeah,
just
I've gotten several in the last week or so. So it's exciting, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, cool. But that's why I opened that email because that was the only way. Because everywhere else, I was storing those requests. Discord. I mean, I've been kicked out of Discord more times than I can count, and so I was losing those. That's why I set up that email, which is DallasPPN@gmail. Just put in the subject, post RV or RV help, and then once I know what the process is and what the system is, I will have a team that will go through those emails and they will contact you directly from my email to your email, and we'll have some kind of verification process. I don't know exactly what that'll be yet, but to Jenny's point, at this point, which is why I haven't responded to those emails, I am not going to reach out to you. You are never going to get a Telegram notification or a request from me. I don't have a Telegram channel on purpose because I don't want to deal with it. But you're not going to get something saying, "Send me money and I'll help you." That's not how this is going to work. So I will reply directly from my email, DallasPPN@gmail.com, to your email. and we'll set up a verification, and there'll be visible physical verification. I mean, there'll be a way that you know that it's me and it's my team. But yes, I plan to honor that commitment and that promise.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Dallas. All right, let's see. Grandmother of 5, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay, let me ask one question first. Did I understand Dallas to say he had lost part of his emails?
Not my emails.
Okay,
I had requests in Discord
okay,
that every time I get kicked out of it, it deletes everything. So that's why a year and a half ago, I started directing everybody to my Gmail, because that one, unless Amazon and Gmail kick me off of the Gmail platform,
okay,
I can't lose those. So if you've emailed me at DallasPPN@Gmail, I have those saved and I have them archived.
okay. All right. Now, what I wanted to ask before I misunderstood what you said there, on the humanitarian groups and stuff, Dallas, if we're getting, if everybody is getting the money from the R&R or whatever you call it, not the RV, but the R&R, um, why? Because, I've heard such substantial amounts that we will be getting. Why will there be a need for so many humanitarian projects? And I understand to a degree, but I mean, are we setting ourselves up to go back to what we've had with the welfare and food stamps and, you know, and people not working? Or is there going to really be that much need for humanitarian, especially for individuals? I understand things like water, some constructions or whatever, but like for us to go in and be doing a lot of individual humanitarian projects. Because just like you're talking about people doing foolish things with their money, well, if we
Yeah.
keep taking care of them and covering for them and handing out to them, how are they going to learn? And I
Uh,
mean, I'm not trying to sound selfish. Believe
yeah.
you
No.
me, I've helped a lot of people in my lifetime, but at some point, people have got to take care of themselves.
Yeah. No. That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked that, and especially the way you did. Um, you know, I've said from the beginning, I trust Elon Musk about as far as I can throw him. The problem is I can throw him farther than most people. But Elon Musk just last week talked about how AI is going to take all the jobs and that people are going to survive off of universal basic income, which is like the definition of 1984. A government state where you get your little stipend every month, and you just kind of live off that stipend and you're happy and you own nothing. Kind of the worst Charles Schwab, World Economic Forum, right? I mean. Um, on the humanitarian side, I for one, and I've been pretty vocal about this. I've shared this on this platform many times. I don't think that everybody's going to get money for whatever they want, right? I mean, if you live in a community and let's say, everybody wants to do, well, not everybody, lots of people want to do animal shelters and humanitarian projects that involve animals and things like that. But if you have 200 people in your little community that all want to do dog shelters, well, they don't need to give $1 million to 20 different people because there's not that many dogs. You know what I mean? Um, I always, I make it funny, and I want to, my humanitarian project is I want to open up an alpaca, rescue, thing, right? Well, how many alpacas are in my community? I don't know, maybe 100. So how much money do I need? But dog shelters or whatever, right? You name it. Um, what I believe is going to happen is they're going to say, okay, if you did a humanitarian, what are your ideas? Okay, well, I want to do a dog shelter. Okay, well, here are 200 other people that want to do, dog and animal shelters. We're going to give all, we're going to put you guys together in a group, and we're going to give the group $10 million to open up these facilities, space them out and staff them and run them. But at the same time, they have to be self-sufficient one way or the other. And I think that's the biggest lesson that I have learned over this last year of being patient and waiting is humanitarian is not giving money away. That is not humanitarian. That is gifts. And that's I just lost the other word I was going to say for it, but that's just giving money away, right? At some point, your money is going to run out if all you do is give money away to people. To your point, you're not helping them, you're not building them up, you're not giving them new skills, you're not teaching them, viable life skills. You're just enabling them to continue to live off the system. So a real humanitarian project should be self-sustainable in some form or some manner, right? So there should be some level of revenue generation that comes through the project so that you can sustain that project for a long period of time. Because again, if you're just giving money away, that's not being humanitarian. That's donating, right? That's just giving money away. And at some point that money runs out. I think that's part of the lessons, and that's part of the kind of the growth for me specifically that's taken place over the last year. A real humanitarian project is something that empowers people to grow and to improve themselves. At the same time, if it's not sustainable, then it's not really a humanitarian project. It's just a donation platform. Does that make sense? So I think to your point, if 200 people in your community want to do dog shelters, they're not going to give 200 people $1 million each to go open up 20 dog shelters, because that would be impractical and that would be a waste of resources, right? They're going to group them together and say, okay, you 200 people want to do this project. We're going to fund the project with X amount of money, and either you guys can get together and work out the logistics of who's in charge, right? Because it can't be 20 people or 200 people. There needs to be, kind of one head, and then, a president, a vice president, a CEO, a CFO, so on and so forth. And then, okay, your community is this big. It has roughly, 20,000 stray animals in this demographic. How many shelters do we need to open? What size do they need to be? How much is it going to cost to open them? How much is it going to cost to run them? And so on and so forth, right? And there's going to have to be a business aspect that comes with this. And if out of the 200 people, there's not a group that can facilitate the financials of that, well, then they're going to then partner you with professionals that can help do those things. And that's, I have changed the dynamics of my humanitarian projects so many times, specifically in the last year, in the last 6 months, in the last 2 weeks. I have made alterations to how I plan to run and operate and fund my personal humanitarian projects, because I'm becoming more and more aware of the fact that it has to be empowering. It has to be, I can't just say I want to eliminate homelessness. Okay, well, I could go buy, depending on how much money I had, I could go buy 10 hotels in my area and I could just house the homeless. Okay, well, now they have a place to live. That's great. But one, are they going to respect it? Two, are they going to take care of it? Three, how do I empower them to hopefully get to a place where they can go earn money and have their own house and have their own piece of the pie? So if I'm going to do homelessness, it can't just be getting homeless people off the streets. It has to be giving them education, helping them, learn how to use the computer, and possibly teaching them life skills, maybe welding or, carpentry or something like that, to where then they can go get a job and earn their money and save their money. And I help them financially. I help them educationally. I help make sure that their kids are taken care of and and fed and clothed. And, so it's much, I think the humanitarian side of this is much bigger than we, originally we just thought, okay, well, we're just going to throw money at something. Well, again, that's not humanitarian necessarily because it's not self-sustaining. And that's just donating. It's just giving money away. So to your point, is AI going to take some of these menial jobs? I read an article a month ago that said by the end of 2026, going into 2027, AI could effectively wipe out the white collar professions in the world, right? So bank tellers and attorneys and CPAs, they could all be those entire careers could be eliminated because they can all be done by AI, right?
Well, and real quickly though, too, Dallas, to your point, I said a lot of the times that our workforce is going to change significantly as well. Like 2/3 of our workforce is going to go away because guess what, guys? They're eliminating the middleman, and this is where the whole peer-to-peer. Troy talks about it. The XRP, the crypto, right? That we don't need all these middlemen that are charging these high fees to sell us a house, to sell us a car, those kind of things, title fees, all that kind of stuff. They're going to get
Right.
rid of the middleman, and we know there's a lot of the middlemen in the world when it comes to that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you, Dallas. Thank you, Grandmother 5. All right, let's go with Ryan. Ryan, your mic's unmuted. Go ahead.
Hey, Jenny. Hey, Dallas.
Hello.
Hello.
Back to your earlier comment about the powers that be were concerned about, some of us exchanging with, large sums. Can you kind of tell us more about what you're hearing or some prerequisites? Maybe, we're supposed to have a family office or a trust management, wealth managers.
Yeah, I mean, there's one group that I'm privileged to listen. I don't talk very much in the meetings, but what is said almost weekly is that the U.S. government is very afraid of average Joe Schmoes having a ton of money. And the first time they said it, I took great offense to it. I was like, well, that's dumb. I mean, I've spent the last almost 6 years trying to help educate our community. But the reality is that if people get money from back taxes and these Doge checks and these tariff checks, well, they're not a part of these groups, right? So there's a little bit of that. I think there's validity to that thought. My understanding is there's going to be some restrictions and there's going to be kind of a slowing of the money, right? Where originally we thought, okay, well, we're all going to get, all of our income tax back in a lump sum. Well, I think that would probably be detrimental to the average American because they would just waste it, right? And not all of it, hopefully, but it goes back to the lottery, right? Statistically, 94 to 96% of lottery winners, irregardless of how much money they win, within 4 years are dead broke or worse off than they were before they won the lottery, right? That is statistics. That is people winning $10,000. That's people winning $100,000. That's somebody winning almost $1 billion a year ago, right? The statistics don't lie. So I think there's a little bit of validity in the government being a little bit leery of everybody just all of a sudden having all this money. There are going to be numerous groups, right? You talked about family offices. I am personally connected to a group that is, the plan is to open up family offices all around the world, right? So if you're in Canada, there's going to be family offices in Canada. If you're in the United States, there's going to be family offices here. If you're overseas, there's going to be family offices there. The thing with family offices is, typically the minimum deposit for a family office for it to make sense is like $100 million, right? So not everybody is going to be in that position out the gate to need a family office, but they're going to be like institutions or opportunities that are below $100 million, right? I think banks are going to radically transform from their current position now as being lenders and debt slave owners, to being almost like concierge benefit service providers, right? So, okay, you now have more money than you've ever had. You want to open up a business. Well, maybe you don't have the educational or the mental background to open and run and operate a business. So they're going to put you in contact with the right people to give you the right guidance in the right direction to maximize those monies. The stock market is going to be revamped, and it's going to be reborn in a fair and equitable format. Right now, it's not fair, it's not equitable, right? There's been over, the last weekend, and again, I'm not bashing Trump, so I want to be very clear, but within 5 minutes of Trump making his declaration at the end of the week about the ceasefire, somebody shorted oil and they made $800 million in 5 minutes, right? Well, that's insider trading, and I'm not saying that it was Trump, but somebody knew what Trump was about to do, and they shorted oil $800 million. They made $800 million in about 4 minutes. That has to go away, right? Like that ability. The Pelosi's have made hundreds of millions of dollars over their lifetime in insider trading. That is illegal. The problem is nobody has ever been convicted of insider trading, right? Ever. It's very hard to prove. Martha Stewart, she didn't go to jail for insider trading. She went to jail for manipulating the stock market, which is the slight variation of insider trading, right? I mean, but she didn't get convicted of insider trading. She got convicted of something else in lieu of that, if that makes sense. Those are going to be fixed, and those loopholes are going to be closed so that it's fair and equitable to everyone. And we're going to have access to institutional trading, which right now you and I don't have access to. That's where, you can invest in these new technologies, right? Hopefully John Baxter is at the forefront of these medbed things. Well, when he takes his his company public, and he has the real deal, Holyfield, right? Which his stuff is real now. I don't want to diminish that, because I've used John stuff. I have John stuff in my house. My wife and I sleep on the grounding mats. I sit on a grounding mat every day when I do my podcast. I've used lots of his technology. I've laid in the beds. I've sat in the chairs. It's awesome. I wear my Wave watch every day because it works. But when John Baxter goes public, we are going to be able to invest in his company, and we're going to be able to take part in the growth. When they release these cures for cancer and these cures for these diseases that they have poisoned us with over the last 100 years, knowing full well that the CIA blocked the cure for cancer 60 years ago. They've had a cure for cancer for 60 years. The CIA, our government, right, which the CIA technically isn't a part of the government, but they classified that information. It's dewormers.
Yeah, it's all parasite, toxins, bacteria in your body. So the big C word, it's Rockefeller made, guys. Welcome to the school of Rockefeller medicine. It's all bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, get me on that tangent, Dallas.
Well, yeah, so we're going to be able to take part in those new companies, and it might be short-lived, but we're going to be able to make money off of that. And that's the other part of humanitarian. People have this concept that if it's humanitarian, I can't make profit off of it. No, if you're running a humanitarian project and you're making a difference, first and foremost, you should pay yourself a salary. If you're running it, you should get paid to run it. And, are you going to pay yourself like they do now? Or, what did I read the other day? Well, like the CEO of the Red Cross, I think their annual income is $10 million.
That's
ridiculous.
Make that make sense.
Yeah, right. Like that's ridiculous. And he's not the only one, right? Like their top 30 execs make over $1 million. And what, anyway, so
they're being exposed. Yeah.
We're going to be able to make money in a fair and equitable way. So if maybe you only come out of this with $10 million, but guess what? You can turn that 10 million into 100 million in just a few years with the right advice and the right investments and the right allocations of your funds. Well, now 10 years
Amen.
down the road, now you can open a family office, and now you can set, the next 5 generations up to be secure. And, and it really goes back to education and making sure my children, thank God we're going through this time period, because my children know what it means to not have a lot of money. And my youngest daughter, God bless her, right? She's like, Dad, can we go get ice cream? No, I'll pay for it. I know you will, but no, but they, they do little odd jobs. My oldest daughter's starting to babysit, and she's getting money. And, but we've got to educate our children. We got to educate our grandchildren on the worth and the value of money, because
And
as
that's
a
the
society,
key.
we don't have that. Yeah.
And that's the key thing, education, everybody. And that's what a lot of us are here for too. Not only to bring you, our research and our opinions of truth and everything, but education. We're all going to need to be retaught, like I said at the beginning of the show. So thank you for that. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Dallas. All right, Dallas, how you doing on time? I've got 3 more hands. You good to take those?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, go ahead. Vicky Sharp, your mic is unmuted.
Hi, Dallas. I just wanted to say thank you for your positive words. It's always good to hear some of the news of the financial outlook. And I wondered if anyone else had mentioned this today. This is the 17th week of this year. So I don't know if that means anything.
Well, hey, I mean, I did not know that, because I don't, like, my brain doesn't work that way. I don't track things like that. But like I said, an hour ago, I'm hearing very positive things about this week. Is it because it's the 17th week? Oh, maybe. I don't know if I put
Yeah.
weight in that, but I am very optimistic about this week being kind of that week that starts the ball rolling. So,
Yeah, it might just be a coincidence, but it might not. You never know.
well, I don't believe in
Okay.
coincidences. So there you go.
I know. I know. Okay. Well, thank you. Mhm.
Thank you, Vicky. All right, go ahead, Lacey. Your mic is unmuted.
Hey, Dallas, want to be
Hello.
sensitive of your time, but you were talking about your email earlier. I sent you an email like ages ago because none of us expected this to drag on as long as it has. I'm not sure I sent it to the correct email. So what do I need to do to get on your radar to make, because you're the only one I'm going to trust when this thing goes.
Oh, well, send it to DallasPPN@gmail.com, and just in the subject put post RV or after RV advice or help or consultation or whatever you want to say, but just put that in the subject, because that's how I store them. And then when this goes, and again, the whole RV process could be very different than what we have kind of been led to believe, because there's been a lot of crossover language wise between the bonds and the currency. But once I verify how this thing is really going to work, I will share that. And I will point you guys in the right direction. I'm never going to tell you what to do, or, you have to do this or you have to do that. I'm going to give you the options. And I'll let you make your decisions. And from there, but yeah, send it to Dallas, DALLASPPN @gmail.com, and just put in the subject, post RV or after RV, and my team will get with you.
And can I ask you one other quick question? Because I've wanted to know
Sure.
this forever. You mentioned a while back that you were on the Hero Network and it was like the most listened to show and everything. I've wanted to listen to that, but I can't find anything called the Hero Network. Is it a Telegram channel? Is it a Rumble channel? What is that?
We have a couple of Telegram channels. It's Hero, HERO, but it's Rumble is where the shows are.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I sent it to Jenny when I talked about it.
No,
And
you didn't. You didn't.
oh,
You
I didn't?
didn't.
Okay.
No.
I will find it. I will go back and find it, and I'll send it to Jenny, and she can put it on the board. It's just my testimony, and I say just. I mean, it was all I did was share my testimony and share some things God's taught me and laid in my heart over the last 3, 4, 5, 10 years. But yeah, for some reason it just exploded. I think it's over 25,000 views now. Chaz and I don't know what's happening on Rumble, but Chaz and I are routinely getting 50 to 400, sometimes 500,000 views now. And that all changed a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I don't know what happened, but our shows, especially the noon and the evening shows that Chaz and I are doing have just absolutely exploded. It's the craziest thing. But I will
Cool.
find that episode from the Hero Network, and I'll send it to Jenny so she can put it on the page. Again, it's my testimony, the majority of it, but it was a crazy day. It was just I still
So
don't quite get it, but it's cool.
So let me tell you why you're probably getting more views now, because the more and more these people get exposed, these fakesters out there, these influencers, many that we've maybe followed and posted from, the more and more the consistent people are going to get more followers, because people they're not following these people anymore. I don't know if you're paying attention, but their following is starting to go down.
Yeah.
So people are scattering from those people because they're either seeing it, or they're like when people come to me, they say, what do I look for? Well, these are things to look for. I don't necessarily call people out, because I say the more they talk, the more they expose themselves, and they're doing exactly that. And I'm just sitting here laughing in the background because I think it's hilarious. But yeah, that's probably why. So that's a good thing. Thank you, Lacey, for your questions.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Linda Price. Your mic is unmuted. Go ahead, Linda. All right, daughter of a Korean war vet. Go ahead. Your mic is unmuted. Go
Oh,
ahead,
man,
daughter.
what a great name.
I know, right? Go ahead, daughter. Your mic's unmuted. Going once, going twice. All right, Linda Price, I'm going to try you one more time. Go
No,
ahead.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much, Dallas. Because of your testimony, I have gained a closer relationship with God instead of a church relationship. I now have a personal relationship.
Oh,
So I really
amen.
appreciate that. And then for your email address, Dallas at PPN, is it the at sign or the word at?
No, it's Dallas PPN, all one, at gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Dallas. God bless you, and God bless you as well, Jenny.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And everybody, Dallas is back at it with us every 2 weeks. So I'm super stoked about that. So Dallas, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And next time you talk to Silk, tell her, wish her a happy birthday for me. I've only got to meet her once, but she's an awesome. I've
She
only
is a
got to meet her in
hoot.
person once, but she's an awesome woman.
She is awesome. And you know what? I definitely will. She's a lot of fun. I love having her on. She cracks me up all the time. So I will definitely tell her, yeah, I want to know when her birthday is too, because mine's next Tuesday. So yeah, I'm gonna say,
Okay.
well, what's up, girl? She's a Taurus. Yeah. All right, everybody. So as you heard, Silk's show tonight is being rescheduled for 2 weeks, from 2 weeks from now. But tomorrow, everybody, Alpha Warrior from the Alpha Warrior show will be on, and that will be over on my X page. And then next week, I am gonna, for those of you that are asking me, I'm gonna have some shows. I'm gonna have 3. I'm gonna do my Rubber Duck series with Rubber Duck on Monday. John Baxter. We'll do Derek Johnson on Monday. Tuesday is my birthday, so I'll probably take that day off, and then maybe do 1 or 2 toward the end of the week. So watch for that, everybody. And with that, Dallas, God love you. God bless you. And we love you. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you. We'll see you guys tomorrow over on my X page with Alpha Warrior. God bless everybody.